Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Hey, let me get a heck yeah in the chat from everybody who's ready to rock and roll on this topic. Let's light it up real quick. So here's the thing. Let's cut to the chase. They are not hiring just any HubSpot admin. No way. When companies put out these job descriptions, which, by the way, you are seeing on the screen, the typical job description for a HubSpot super admin, they are looking for a HubSpot god. And I mean it. That's what they're looking. They want somebody who can bend workflows to their will, someone who can clean up dirty data like it's a walk in the park, and someone who can whip up dashboards so fast and so accurate that leadership has no choice but to take notice. They're looking for you to be the architect, the builder, the problem solver, the person who can make HubSpot not just work, but work wonders. Now, if hearing that makes you sit up a little bit straighter, or maybe break out in a nervous sweat, don't worry, because that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. Because whether you've been in this role for 6 months or 6 years, the truth is this: there's always another level that you as a super admin can unlock. And today we're going to break down exactly what it means to be a HubSpot super admin, not just what the company wants from you, but how you can define this role on your own terms. We're going to talk about setting boundaries, focusing on impact, and owning your influence so that you can keep growing, stay sane, and actually enjoy being the go-to expert everyone's counting on. And let me just be upfront. This isn't a sit back and take notes kind of session. I'm hoping this is a little hands-on. It's tactical. We're diving deep into real frameworks, quick wins, and proven strategies that you can take back to your company and start using immediately. But by the time we're done here, we're going to feel, or hopefully you're going to feel, more confident, more in control, and more prepared to step into this role as the HubSpot powerhouse that you are hired to be. But, and this is important, what we're covering today is just scratching the surface. If this session leaves you fired up and ready for more, then you've got to check out the full Sidekick Strategy Super Admin Training. That's where we really roll up our sleeves, tackle the advanced tactics, deep workflows, integration strategies, and really take you from good to legendary. So let's go ahead and jump in, get real about what this role means, and start building the foundation for our next level as HubSpot admins. If that sounds good, throw a let's go in the chat pane, because we're about to do this. All right, super admins, before we dive in too deep, let's start with a quick question. And I need you to be honest with this. Who here is what we lovingly call the accidental admin? You know who you are, the one who started off doing something completely different, and then before you knew it, you were handed the keys to HubSpot and told, hey, make it work. Or maybe you're what I'll call a hired admin, someone who stepped into this role with purpose, but quickly realized the job is so much bigger than the job description ever led on. Put it in the chat pane. I want to see this. How many of you are accidental admin? How many are hired admin? Put it in the chat pane, accidental admin or hired admin. All right. So as you're putting that in there, whether you stumbled into this role or you were hired for it, this session is designed to help you take that accidental start and turn it into intentional success. Or if you are hired and the massive list I went over earlier sounds like your job that you saw there, then we're here to help hone that down and make it feel real and achievable. Let's get one thing straight right out the gate. If you think your job as HubSpot super admin is just managing tools, clicking buttons, and keeping the CRM running, then I need you to stop right now, and I need you to shift your mindset. Right now, we have to have a mindset shift, because that's not what this role is completely about. HubSpot super admins aren't button pushers. They're growth architects. You're the person who takes a chaotic mess of data, workflows, and processes and turns it into a well-oiled revenue machine. I want you to think about it. Companies don't need someone who can just set up a few fields or tweak a report here or there. They need someone who connects the dots, someone who builds the bridges, and yes, fixes what's broken, but does it in a way that moves the business forward. Your job isn't just to make HubSpot work, it's to make HubSpot work for the business. And that means beyond the tools and features and thinking like a strategist. So let's talk about what that actually looks like, because if you're going to own the role, and all of you are because you're literally on this training. I mean, really own it. You need a framework for how you think about your work. And here's how I like to break it down. First up, you're an architect of efficiency. That means you don't just create workflows, you design systems that save time, cut cost, and scale with the business. You're building processes that reduce manual effort, streamline operations, and let your teams focus on what they do best: selling, marketing, growing the company. Automation isn't just a feature in HubSpot, it's a superpower in your super admin toolbox. Next, I like to think about that you're a strategic growth partner. This is where you stop thinking like an operator and start thinking like a leader. Everything you build, from automated workflows to email campaigns, needs to tie back to revenue goals. If it doesn't help drive growth, improve conversion rates, or close deals faster, guess what? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's noise. And we don't have time for noise as super admins. You're not just building systems, you're building impact. And that's what earns you a seat at the table. Finally, I want you to think of yourself as a data storyteller. And this is big because data is your currency as a super admin. You don't just collect data, you transform it into insights that leadership can actually use to make decisions. Dashboards, they're more than reports, they're narratives that show where the business has been, where it's going, and what needs to happen to hit the next milestone. Your dashboards need to speak the language of leadership. What is that? Clear, actionable, and focused on results. So here's the mindset shift I need you to make. Stop thinking about yourself as the person who runs HubSpot and start seeing yourself as the person who powers growth. Be the architect, the strategist, the storyteller. And if you do that, if you own this mindset, you're not just keeping the lights on, you are leading the charge. Let's keep building on this foundation and see how we define the boundaries and responsibilities that make this role manageable, impactful. If you want to talk about boundaries and responsibilities, put sounds good in the chat pane. I want to see sounds good in there so we can move on to these boundaries and responsibilities. Now, we have to get real for a second. If you don't define your role, someone else is going to do it for you. And when that happens, that's the express lane to Burnout City. Because here's the thing. This job can quickly spiral into a never-ending list of tasks that have nothing to do with driving impact. One minute you're optimizing workflows, and the next someone's asking you to troubleshoot why their email signature isn't showing up. Sound familiar? I know I've been there. Anyway, but let me tell you something. It doesn't have to be that way. You're not here to be the HubSpot help desk. You're here to be a strategic partner, someone who solves big problems, someone who drives results, someone who delivers value. Like that last part, it's impossible to ignore. So before we go any further, we're going to hit pause and we're going to take a hard look at your role. And then we're going to rewrite it on your terms so it reflects what you're really here to do inside your organization. And here's why this matters. When you define your role, you're not just protecting your time and sanity. You're also setting expectations for your team, your boss, and let's be honest, yourself. It's the difference between being seen as the person who keeps HubSpot running and being recognized as the person who keeps the business growing. And that shift is huge. So how do you do it? Simple. You write your 3-sentence mission statement. And this is your North Star, your elevator pitch, your this is what I do and why it matters speech. And trust me, once you've got this locked in, it's a total game changer. So here's the formula. Who you serve. Who are the teams or stakeholders depending on you? What problems you solve. What's the biggest pain point you eliminate? And number 3, how you measure success. How do you prove the impact that you're making? Now, let me give you an example. Imagine someone who asks, hey, what exactly do you do here? Instead of fumbling through a vague answer, you hit them with, I empower teams with automation that eliminates bottlenecks, deliver reports that drive smarter decisions, and ensure HubSpot is the engine behind revenue growth. Now, that's powerful. It's clear. It's results driven. And most importantly, it puts you in control of how people see your role. Now, I'm not just going to leave you with theory. I want you to do this right now. I know this is kind of weird on like a thing that you're used to just getting information, but we're going to take 2 minutes. We're going to take 2 minutes out of here. And I want you to jot down your own mission statement. I want you to think about your stakeholders, the problems you solve, and how you measure success. And don't overthink it. You can always tweak this later. This is just it isn't about busy work. This is your anchor. That's what we're building here is your anchor. When requests start piling up and you're drowning in, can you just emails, you're going to come back to this statement and remind yourself and everyone else what your real job is. So we're going to pause for 2 minutes. You'll see the 3 questions on the screen. And I want you, maybe Kyle, you can do a timer, or Deanna, like let's do a 2-minute timer. And I'm going to go quiet. And I want you to build out this for yourself. I want you to create your statement. And if you write something you love, by the way, put it in the chat pane. We got 1 minute and 54 seconds, 52. I'm going to be quiet. But if you write something you love based on these 3 questions, throw it in the chat pane. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. 52 seconds, 51 seconds. Jot it down. Get it in the chat pane. 10 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I'm loving what I'm seeing in the chat pane, by the way. This is worth its weight in gold right here where we're headed. This is beautiful. All right, so here's the deal. Oh, that's one right there. Bottom line, own your role or someone else will. Be intentional, be strategic, and make sure your job description reflects your value, not just the tasks people throw your way. All right, let's keep the momentum going. Next, we're going to tackle boundaries, how to set them, protect them, and still deliver massive impact without getting buried in the day-to-day grind. If you want to do this and talk about boundaries, throw heck yes on boundaries in the chat pane or the word boundaries in chat. Heck, just throw your favorite emoji. I don't care because we're going to move on anyway. We got to get it straight. Here's the thing. Being a HubSpot super admin is a high stakes, high visibility role. And the fastest way to lose control of it is by failing to set boundaries. Because here's what happens. If you don't set boundaries, you become the catch-all fix-it person for every little request that flies your way. You're suddenly the go-to for, can you update this template real quick? And why isn't this email sending? And before you know it, you're buried under busy work while the big picture stuff, the work that actually drives growth, gets pushed to the back burner. So let me make this clear. You're not here to be the HubSpot janitor. That's not who they hired. You're here to be the HubSpot architect. Your role is about strategy, growth, and impact, not tech support. And the only way to keep it that way is to take ownership of your priorities and get intentional about where you spend your time. And that's exactly what we're tackling in this session. Boundaries, protecting your time, still delivering massive results. So first, let's talk about creating a responsibility matrix. Do you have one? This is your secret weapon for making it crystal clear what you own, support, and enable. It's not just a list of tasks, it's a blueprint for how you operate. Think of this as the playbook you share with your boss, your team, and even yourself to keep priorities straight and avoid scope creep. So how do you build it? Here's the deal. You start with 3 categories: what you own, what you support, and what you enable. With what you own, are your non-negotiables. These are the high impact, high skills tasks that only you can do, like setting up automations, cleaning data, and building dashboards that power decisions. What you support are areas where you lend a hand, but you're not the primary driver. Maybe you assist with email campaign strategies, but you're not executing every little detail. What you enable is all about empowering others to handle the basics themselves. You're not here to pull every report that they need. They are, because you've trained them. How much internal training are you doing in your organization as a super admin? Because you've trained them on how to use the tools effectively. Once you've built this matrix, then what you can do, by the way, it's what do you own? What do you support? What do you enable? You should build that after this session, and then you should communicate it, make it visible, share it during meetings, reference it anytime someone tries to hand you one of those tasks that doesn't fit, or at least you know where it fits into. It's not about saying no, by the way. It's about saying, here's how I can help without losing focus, because that's what we need. Now, let's talk about weekly check ins. These are quick 15-minute conversations with your boss or stakeholders that can save you hours of headaches later. Yes, I'm telling you that you need to communicate with other humans inside your organization. Think of it as your chance to get ahead of the chaos, to review priorities, clarify deadlines, and flag anything that's off track before it comes an emergency. Use these meetings to reset expectations when necessary and to make sure you're always aligned with the big picture. And if you're worried about pushback, don't be. People will respect your time more when they see you managing it with purpose. And finally, let's talk about quick wins, because sometimes the best way to shut down distractions is to deliver results so good that people stop questioning where you're spending your time. I don't know if you've ever heard that. What is Jimmy doing? Jimmy's working. Trust me. What's Debbie? Debbie's working. Trust me. The trick here is to work smarter, not harder. Focus on projects that are visible, valuable, and fast to execute. I want you to think about this moving forward. What's visible, valuable, and fast to execute? What can I do? Because that'll buy me time in the future. Things like automating lead assignments, cleaning up contact records, building a dashboard that solves a problem leadership didn't even know they had. When you deliver these kind of wins, you shift the narrative. You're no longer seen as the HubSpot person. You're seen as the problem solver, the strategist, the person who gets things done. And that's how you start earning trust and influence. That's what we want as super admins: trust and influence, the kind that protects your boundaries and lets you keep driving results without getting bogged down. So here's the takeaway: setting boundaries doesn't mean doing less. It means doing the right things. It's about making sure your time, your energy, your expertise are focused on what matters most: growth, impact, scalability. And the best part, when you're clear about your priorities, you'll find that your team isn't just more productive, they're more empowered. All right, so let's cut to it again. If you want to be seen as an indispensable person, as like a go-to, like you can't just talk about your value. You gotta prove it. My grandpa used to have a saying: "You gotta walk the walk, not just talk the talk." Because here's the reality: no one's gonna hand you a trophy for keeping a CRM running. It's not happening. But you know what gets noticed? Results. Tangible, measurable, can't argue with it results. That makes people stop and say, wow, that changes everything. That thing that just happened, the thing that we're communicating, the thing that we're enabling, that changes everything. That's exactly what we're talking about in this session. This section right here is quick wins that show your impact fast. And listen, these aren't theoretical ideas or pie in the sky strategies. These are real moves like I've used and seen other super admins use to deliver results that turn heads, change perceptions, particularly, uh, actually sometimes even overnight. But let's break them down step by step. By the end of this, you'll have at least one or two, hopefully, that you'll be able to implement or lean into over the next week. So I hate to keep talking about this because I feel like I've talked about it forever, but data cleanup. I don't know what your portal looks like, but I can take a guess. If you've ever heard someone in leadership say, I don't trust the numbers, you know how big of a deal clean data really is. Because here's the thing: messy data doesn't just create inconveniences, it creates bad decisions. So if you're sitting here and you know that you haven't created a supremely clean database, that's one thing we can do. It leads to missed opportunities when it's dirty, wasted budget when it's dirty, and sales teams chasing leads that shouldn't even be there in the first place. And this is where you come in. You're not just tidying up a database, you're building trust in the system. Building trust in the system. If you want buy-in, you got to have trust in the system. You're creating a foundation for better marketing campaigns, smarter sales strategies, and more accurate reports. And the best part, you don't have to spend weeks doing this manually. HubSpot has automation tools. If you have that hub, I'm not here to sell, so we'll move on. It can handle deduplication, merge records, and enforce data validation rules automatically. If you don't have operation hubs, maybe it's time. Or maybe you need to learn more about the 5 folder cleaning system that we teach in the super admin training. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about workflow optimization. Let me tell you a quick story about this one. I worked with a team that was spending 40 plus hours a month, an entire work week, manually assigning leads to their sales reps. 40 hours a month, just clicking buttons and moving names around. So we built a lead routing workflow in HubSpot that automated the entire process. The results, the team didn't just get 40 hours back. They got better leads to the right people faster, which boosted their close rates almost immediately. And here's the kicker. They didn't just see me, the team, as the person who fixed their problem. They saw me, the team, as the person who helped them close more deals, drive more revenue. That's what workflows can do when they're built with impact in mind. So here's your task. I want you to find one process and think about it right now. What's one process that is slowing your team down? Again, maybe it's lead routing, maybe it's follow-up reminders, maybe it's something as simple as automating an email sequence for onboarding or something else. Think about what that is that's slowing your team down, and build a workflow, build a system, build a process, educate humans, show them how much time it saves, and then track that win. I need you to track the win because you need to be telling the story. Okay, now for a big one. Dashboard domination. If I have asked many HubSpot users, what's your Achilles heel? HubSpot reporting. Like, I get that so many times, but dashboard domination, because if there's one thing leadership loves, it's visibility. All right. It's visibility. They want to know what's working, what's not, and where the gaps are. And they want to know it now. And the easiest way to give them that visibility is with a killer dashboard that speaks their language. Again, let me be clear. This isn't about building pretty graphs. It's about building decision-making tools, dashboards that answer questions like, where are leads getting stuck? How fast are deals moving through the pipeline? Which campaigns are actually driving revenue? These aren't just reports. They're stories. Stories that make you look like the person who has their finger on the pulse of the business. I want you to think about how powerful that is if people look at you like you have your finger on the pulse of the business. So here's your assignment. I want you to build one dashboard this week that highlights a key metric. Maybe it's pipeline velocity, maybe it's deal stage progression, or maybe it's campaign ROI, whatever it is for you. I want you to think about what's one dominating dashboard that you can create with a set of reports. Keep it simple. Keep it visual, keep it focused on action. And when leadership starts checking it every single day, then you know that you've actually won. All right. Now let's bring it all together. Whether it's cleaning data, optimizing workflows, or dominating dashboards, the goal here is simple. You as a super admin have to show your value. And it's not just once every, it's every single week, because when you do that, when you make it impossible to ignore the results that you're delivering, you don't just earn respect, you earn influence. So again, my challenge is pick one win this week, just one. Take the next step, track the results, and share what you've accomplished, because once people see what you can do, they'll stop thinking of you again as just that HubSpot guy or that HubSpot gal, that HubSpot person, and start seeing you as the game changer that you really are. All right, let's keep going. I still got time. I think, yeah, we're about halfway through. And I want to keep going because I want to talk about aligning your work with business goals so that every win builds towards bigger long-term impact. If you're ready, put the fire emoji in the chat pane. I want to see a whole bunch of fire emojis. Just light this bad boy up if you're ready to keep going. So let me start by giving it straight. Business leaders don't care about tools. There, I said it. Business leaders don't care about tools. They don't care about how many workflows you've built or how many custom fields you've configured. What they care about, what keeps them up at night, is results. They care about revenue and growth and efficiency and retention. That's it. We got to have that mindset. And here's where a lot of HubSpot super admins get stuck. They spend too much time talking about features and not enough time talking about impact. They lead conversations with, look at this automation I built, when what they should be saying is, this automation shortened our sales cycle by 15% and increased conversion rates by 10%. So if you want to earn trust, influence, and budget, you need to stop showcasing what HubSpot can do and start showing how it drives business outcomes. Let's talk about exactly how to do that by mapping HubSpot features directly to business priorities. Now, let's start with the big one: revenue growth. At the end of the day, every department in the company, from sales to marketing to customer service, exists to help the business grow. So, how do you make HubSpot the engine of that growth? First, let's talk about lead scoring. If your sales team is spending time chasing bad leads, that's lost revenue, plain and simple. But with HubSpot's lead scoring tools, you can automatically qualify leads based on behavior, demographics, engagement. That means sales reps stop wasting time on people who aren't ready to buy and start focusing on the leads that are most likely to convert quickly. And what's funny is everybody has their own little story about lead scoring, but I'm telling you, if you do it and you do it right, you're awesome. Next, look at pipeline tracking. HubSpot can show you exactly where deals are getting stuck, and that's priceless because when you can identify bottlenecks, you can fix them. You can speed up the sales process, and therefore you close more deals. And the best part, this isn't guesswork. These are all data driven decisions that you're making based off of what you can see. Now, let's move on to the second priority: efficiency gains. This one's huge because every business wants to do more with less. Trust me, they might not say it out loud, but they want to do more with less. And let's be honest, manual tasks are the enemy of efficiency. They slow teams down, create errors, and kill momentum. And this is where HubSpot workflows becomes your secret weapon. Whether it's automating lead assignments, sending follow-ups, or triggering alerts, whatever it is for you, workflows eliminate repetitive tasks and free up your team to focus on what actually matters. Think about this like this: every hour that you can save someone is an hour they can spend closing deals, creating campaigns, or serving customers. And I will ask you, have you come to work on any given day and said, my goal today is to see how many hours I can save the humans in the organization? That might not usually be the way that we look at this. Here's the kicker: workflows aren't just about saving time, they're about scaling processes as well. Because when you can automate processes that work, you're not just improving efficiency, you're building a system that can grow with your business. I love to talk about wrapping your business around HubSpot. And when you do that, that is what allows you to grow with the business. All right, now let's talk about the final piece here: customer retention. Because let's be honest, it's not enough to just acquire customers. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you got to keep them. And keeping customers means knowing who's at risk before it's too late. With HubSpot, you can track life cycle stages and customer behaviors and spot red flags like stalled deals, dropped engagements, or declining usage. Like, all of these things are at your fingertips. It's a wonderful place that we live in. And once you have that data, you can trigger targeted outreach, personalized emails, reminders, or even re-engagement campaigns to bring those customers back into the fold, into loving you before they churn. And here's the takeaway here: HubSpot isn't just a marketing and sales tool, it's a business driver. And when you frame your work in terms of growth, efficiency, and retention, you're no longer just the person managing a CRM, you're the strategic partner powering the company's success. That is what you want. Instead of I'm just a HubSpot person. You want to be a strategic partner powering the company's success. That's the mindset that I want you to have. So here's the challenge: look at one feature you're managing right now and ask yourself, how does this drive results? Can you tie it back to revenue growth? Can you show how it saves time? Can you prove it's improving customer retention? If not, it's time to rethink how you're presenting that thing. And if you take nothing else away from this section here, remember this: when you start talking ROI instead of features, and you stop being the tool expert and start being the growth expert, whew, that's when you're heading in the right direction. So let's go ahead and keep pushing forward, because up next, we're going to talk about building influence across teams. Who wants to build influence in your organization across teams? Just throw influence or heck yeah, or just type something in the chat pane so we can move forward with this. Because here's the thing: I need HubSpot super admins. I need you to be seen as the glue that holds it all together. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's talk about one of the most underrated superpowers of a HubSpot super admin, your ability to bring teams together. Because here's the truth, HubSpot isn't just your tool, it's everyone's tool. Well, as I say that, I say hopefully. Hopefully, it's everyone's tool. Okay. Marketing uses it to run campaigns and capture leads. Sales relies on it to manage pipelines and close deals. Customer service depends on it to track support tickets and resolve issues. Even, hopefully, finance can tap into HubSpot for revenue forecasting and reporting and all sorts of good stuff like that, depending on what integrations you're using. And you super admins, you're the glue that makes it all stick. You're the one who builds the systems, connects the data, and ensures every department gets what they need without stepping on each other's toes. That is influence. That is power. And if you use it right, you don't just become the HubSpot expert, you become the trusted partner every team turns to when they need solutions. But, and this is important, you can't force influence. You've got to earn it. And the fastest way to earn it is by showing teams how HubSpot can make their lives easier, make their lives faster, and make their lives better. So, how do you actually make that happen? Ooh, I get to put my human hat on for a second. You start with empathy. You stop looking at HubSpot through your that lens and start looking at it through their lens. Like, get out of your vision, get into their vision. What's slowing them down? What's keeping them from hitting their goals? What's frustrating them the way the system works right now? Notice I said them, not me, not you, them. An example here, let's say marketing is struggling to hand off leads to sales. Don't know if you've ever been there, done that. They feel like their hard work is getting lost in the shuffle, and sales feels like they're getting unqualified leads. That's a process problem. And you're the human who can fix it. You can build workflows that score leads, automate follow-ups, and send real-time alerts when a hot lead is ready for outreach. And when you do, you're not just again solving a problem, you're building trust because you've gone at this in an empathetic way, focused on how do I make their life better, and created the processes to fix that problem that they're facing. And so therefore you build trust, and that trust doesn't just stop with marketing and sales. It continues through the entire organization. Think about customer service. Maybe their team is struggling to track hits or follow-ups. You can set the dashboards that give them full visibility into every customer interaction from the first email to the last support call. Finance, maybe they need clear revenue reporting to forecast growth moving forward. You can build pipelines that tie deals to dollars and give leadership the confidence to make smarter decisions. This isn't about showing off what HubSpot can do. It's about providing what HubSpot can solve. And when you become the person who solves problems across departments, you don't just earn buy-in, you build influence. And both of those are things that you want is buy-in and influence. All right, let's make it actionable. I want you to do a quick win exercise. You're going to build a stakeholder map. That's right. I'm asking you to jot it down. If you got a notepad, an iPad, chalk on your wall, I don't care. Stakeholder map. This is where I want your brain to go. This is where you get really clear about who depends on you, what they need, and how you can support them. Okay. Start by listing out every department that touches HubSpot: marketing, sales, customer service, finance, operations, you name it. Then under each one, I want you to write down what they care about most. Is it leads? Is it deals? Is it retention? Is it revenue? Number one, what do they care about most? Number two, what frustrates the heck out of them? Where are the bottlenecks, in other words? Number three, how can you help? What's the quick wins that will make their day easier? Remember that quick win for the value. But what does the stakeholder map look like for you? Okay. Stakeholder map. What they care most about, what's frustrating them, and how can you help? This map isn't just a tool, it's a game plan. It's how you build stronger relationships, create more targeted solutions, and position yourself as the connector who makes everything work better. Here's the bottom line. Your job isn't just about configuring HubSpot. It's about connecting people about connecting processes and about connecting and putting forth priorities so the entire organization runs smoother, smarter, and faster. And when you do that, you're again not just a super admin, you're the heartbeat of the business. Now, let's keep pushing forward because next we're going to be wrapping this up by showing you how to own your space, define your legacy, and keep building momentum a long after this session ends. So let's finish strong with like everybody chat in finish line. Just finish line. That's what we're going for right now in the chat pane. I want to see a bunch of those or a runner emoji. I don't know. Do something. Let's bring it home. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's this. You are not here to simply keep HubSpot running. And sometimes I think like that's how super admins show up a lot. It's like, I just got to keep HubSpot running. You are here to drive growth. You are here to simplify processes. You are here to prove ROI, period. End of story. That's what you're here for. This role isn't about managing tools. It's about building systems that move businesses forward. It's about being the architect of efficiency, the partner in growth, the storyteller who turns data into decisions. It's about stepping up, owning your space, and showing your organization that HubSpot isn't just a CRM, it's a competitive advantage. And you're the one who makes it happen. But let's be real, the transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you take action. It happens when you commit to delivering wins, not someday, not next quarter, this week, today. So here's my challenge to you as super admins. Here's what I want you to pick one quick win, just one. Maybe it's cleaning up data, automating a workflow, building a dashboard that turns heads in next team meeting, whatever it is, just pick one quick win. And then once you have that, I want you to make it happen this week. And then once you make it happen, I want you to track the impact. I want you to share the results. I want you to let your work do the talking. Okay. So you're going to figure out the quick win. You're going to make it happen. You're going to track the impact. You're going to share the results, and you're going to be awesome while you're doing it. And if today, by the way, has left you fired up and ready for more, then you need to check out the Sidekick Strategy Super Admin Training, because what we covered today, again, is just the tip of the iceberg. By the way, I'm going to, hopefully this is okay. Hopefully this is okay. Anybody who signs up for the next one that's starting in February, you can go to the website. You'll see in the main navigation under solutions, there's the, the little link that you can click and stuff. Anybody that signs up, use admin hug, uppercase, lowercase, I don't care. Admin hug, you get 25% off the training that we're going to be doing in February. Okay. This is where we dive deep. Oh, somebody threw it. Hey, Anita, thank you. Love you so much. Applause, everybody. Thumbs up. All right. Here's the thing. Because you were here today, you're already halfway there. You've got the tools. You've got the mindset. Based on the little session we have today, you've got the beginning of the foundation. Now, it's time for you to build something epic. So let's make this count. Take action, own your space, and become the architect of growth for your organization that they can't live without. That's what I want for you. That's what you need to do to define your role. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end.
Amazing. Give George some love in the chat. George, you've been getting lots of love in the chat this whole time. I think you made a lot of new friends today. Seems like a lot of people have not encountered your energy before. And what a blessed way to start the new year. Everyone, please check out the Hub Heroes podcast. Sidekick Strategies is George's company. It's his website. Lots of good offerings there. How are you feeling about some Q&A, George? We got 17 questions in there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with Q&A. I love spending time with humans, so let's do it.
All right, everybody, you know the drill. Hop over to the Q&A. Upvote the questions you're most interested in. Looks like people are already all over that. I'm seeing some upvoted ones here. So go ahead and hop in and put your votes in, but I'm going to start with this one that already has 9 votes, 10 votes. My big question is, how do you possibly stand out from all the other applicants when the barrier to entry for HubSpot is so low? And so many hiring managers don't know what they truly need in an admin or how to differentiate from the hordes that apply. Looking forward to some clues on that.
Wow, that's like a life question, to be honest with you. Like, so standing out, first of all, you got to be you. Bottom line, one of the hardest lessons for me. Hmm, so there's no nice way to say this. Like, I had to learn in life to show up as a whole ass human, like to embrace who I am fully, no matter what part of that is, and stand out based on that. Like, what created me to be me is being a nerd, being creative, being silly, being loud. All the things that I got in trouble for in school, by the way. I'm just gonna throw that out there. And so you've got to be you. Also, to stand out in the crowd, if you can, we live in a world, especially now, it's a show me world. Okay. Let me explain what I mean. I've been able to start my own company, but before that, I was able to journey through a couple different agencies by design that one we got acquired into, and then one I picked that I wanted to work with. And I didn't have to go through a job interview. I know that sounds weird, but I had shown through content, through videos, through expertise that ooh, that's a HubSpot guy right there. Like that's like no. So how can you be you? How can you create content to show that you're a HubSpot expert? So how can you present yourself or communicate? By the way, here's one thing I will say. One of the other training sessions that we do is we do a communication, 90 minutes on communication with how to talk to leadership and how to talk to your coworkers and how to talk to like managers. One way that you can set yourself apart, because this is another piece that I had to lean into, was becoming a great communicator. So how do you stand out? You be you. You show them how you're an expert, and you figure out how to become a really great communicator. That's the three things that I would want you to kind of like. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. Those are the three things I would want you to focus on.
Amazing. Let's see. I'm just going to resort these because the votes are still rolling in. If we shouldn't be the HubSpot support go-to person, how do we convince the organization to hire someone to take care of that?
Well, you already have people in your organization to take care of that, by the way. See, here's the thing, like there's this mindset that we have to do it all. And I would beg you to sit in the seat that you're in and go, how much training have I been doing? And how many HubSpot advocates have I been creating around me? Because as soon as you can get others around you to fall in love with the tool as much as you love it, and that's why you became a HubSpot super admin, now you can create mini me's. I'll just call them mini me's. And so there's other people that you can start to dish. Remember, we talked about literally the what are you in charge of? What do you enable? Like lean into that framework, that mapping that we created. And by the way, if the organization is large enough that you need support, then you need to be able to, again, we're in the world of show me. You need to be able to show how that support benefits them. If I had a person that could do XYZ ABC 1, 2, 3, which is about a $20 cost per hour, I'm making numbers up, by the way, it would allow me to do ABC 1, 2, 3, XYZ, which is about a $500 an hour value. So because we can spend more time on this drives results in the organization here, but only if we have this other wheel that helps the car move. So like think about how you can connect those dots, but again, you have to be able to communicate that to leadership in a way that makes sense to them. Not just like, I need more help, boss, because that's not going to get it.
Yeah. Trixie asks, how can I shift the culture at my company so that they are willing to let me design HubSpot to be used to its full potential? Right now, it's used mainly to track products and produce reports, and not much for sales other than what does this company already have from us?
I'll ask you this question. How much do they know about what it can do? Like the reason that we can usually get so much out of HubSpot is because we understand what it can do. Also, it's kind of a trick question, Trixie, because my mind goes to, well, like what other softwares are they using? what things aren't integrated. Are they using all the hubs? Like, and what brought them in? What brought you into the HubSpot ecosystem? Like, we jokingly talk about on the Hub Heroes podcast about how many people have been brought into the HubSpot ecosystem because they want to rebuild something like MailChimp in HubSpot, which is just dumb. Don't do that. Just don't do that. So what brought you in? Here's the other thing. And again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if you have the tools, because they're unlocked in a hub that you're doing other stuff with, MailSpot, Chad, that's beautiful. If you have the tools that are unlocked, then do some little tests and show them, hey, I know our big focus is this, and we've been handling that, but also I just want you to see what we could do here, and here's an example of that. But also, um, and again, I have no soft way to say this. Sometimes you just have to have a come to Jesus moment. Like you're gonna have to sit down with leadership and be like, look, this is where we're falling short. This is what we could do to get there. Here are the 3 to 4 things that we need to change to make sure that happens. And again, if you can map what I just said, Trixie, to people, process, and platform, and figure out some type of framework around that, it's going to make the conversation go a lot better. See, I love these types of questions. These are like big freaking questions. All right, I'll be quiet.
No. Here's another one. Actually, this is less big. This is more specific. Julie asked, could George share us a few dashboard templates that he uses? I have the data, but I missed the story.
Oh, interesting. See, I don't really have dashboard templates, like, because here's the thing. When I think, I mean, I probably could give you some things, but here's what I think about. When I think about reporting and I think about dashboards, it all comes back down to, and by the way, if you don't have the report, actually, no. Let me change that. In the chat pane right now, yes, HubSpot report certification, no HubSpot report certification. Right now, we can
accountability here in front of everyone.
Yes, HubSpot report certification, no HubSpot. Okay, we're getting a lot of yeses. We're getting a lot of yeses. Oh, there's some no's rolling in. Okay. If you're a no, one, go do that. Okay. Because it's amazing. And Jory like kills it. And there's just like a lot of good stuff there. But here's the thing. I don't really do dashboard templates because it's always a conversation with humans. And I always start with like, what's the question you're trying to answer? Because what I want to do is like, what's the question you're trying to answer? Where does the data live? What from where the data lives, what insights can we gain and what action can we take? Right. So like write that down. Question, insight, action. Well, there's data in there, and then action. And now if I go up a level, the dashboard is going to be like, what's the 5 to 7 questions? What's the 8 to 10 questions? And what's the 8 to 10 questions for marketing? Dashboard. 8 to 10 questions for sales? Dashboard. Because by the way, what you need to realize is HubSpot's already given you like 70% of what you need. The 30% that you're asking the question around is because we need custom properties to do custom reporting to fill the gap of what HubSpot default properties aren't doing. That's how I answer that one.
Great. Shell asks, how do we get this talk in front of the decision makers who aren't HubSpot admins?
Yeah, absolutely. You can bring me out to your organization at any given point in time that you want. I will definitely come out and do a HubSpot workshop or any type of workshop, virtual, in person. I don't care. Like I'm just here to help the humans. I had to throw one of those in there. Had to throw one.
Yeah, I was surprised you said humans so many times and haven't done the.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, also, Shell, part of it is you now know the talking points, and having some of these conversations got to open that door.
The good thing too, this is recorded. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
slip it under their door. Like, hey, did you see this YouTube video? It's kind of cool.
So interesting. I was gonna say they can even watch it at 2 times speed, but I don't know. George B. Thomas at 2 times speed might not. It might break them.
People say 0.75, but you do you.
Sabrina asks, how do you do this when you have someone else that acts like they do the same job of you and contradicts what the perception of your role is?
Oh, wow. I have no good answer for this other than tell you that's a people problem. And I don't know how I would handle that because I don't know enough about the other person that we're mentioning in public right now. Or enough about you or the situation. But if it was me and I let my mind wander, um, I am very much more of a person that tries to lean into a victor versus a victim mentality. And so I would try to figure out how to bridge um, what is right now chaotic into uh, a Batman and Robin scenario. Like, how do I make them my best ally? By the way, even if they feel like I'm Robin, I don't care if I'm Batman. But how do I make them feel like they're my best ally versus like an arch enemy? It's very hard to get super tactical on that one, but that's the advice I'll give you.
And also, people always have their reasons for saying things. Hopefully, this is not just a person who is out to get you.
Facts. I didn't want to say that, but facts.
Ask some questions. See, if next time they contradict something you say, try to find some genuine curiosity. Like what data are you looking at, or what's important? It's a fine line because I feel frustrated at this person and I don't even know what they're doing to you. And so if you lead with like, what are you thinking? How could you possibly like that's not going to go anywhere. But if you can find some genuine curiosity and empathy, people have reasons for the things they're doing, and if the reasons are bad, that will come to light as you discuss it with them. But they may have insights you're missing.
Yeah, I'll give you a core. And I don't mean to be soft, and I hope this doesn't come off as soft, but again, I go like, who am I? How do I navigate the world? Figure out a way in the scenario to lead with love.
Yeah.
Like, it'll win out. It'll win out in the long run.
We got time for a couple more. Olivia asks, how do you get senior leaders to appreciate the need for a CRM team rather than just as an add-on to a marketing or sales role?
Talk their language, show the dollars.
I really liked someone, was it Scott maybe in the chat a while ago, shared a story about nobody believed how much HubSpot was worth until he showed the actual receipts and quantified the actual money.
Yep.
People may be missing it. And if you can lay that out.
See, that's the thing. Like, you got to remember, think about your own life, right? Like, we're all super busy. And so nobody is like really taking even if they say they are, probably, they're really not taking the time to like quantify everything that's happening in your day because they have their own day. So how do you show that? And I like the idea of receipts because to me that means snackable. Like, how do you have the snackable examples of the dollars that are being generated? Oh, and maybe not even just dollars, but percentage of time, percentage of speed, percentage of dollars. Like, there's multiple ways that you could throw angles at this to have these like little uh I'll just call it receipts. I love that. These receipts that show like the transaction of HubSpot and team to equal XYZ thing.
Yeah. We have about 90 seconds left. We got a lot of questions here. George, can you teach me how to share results and impacts? Can you teach me your 5-folder cleaning system? Do you have examples of job descriptions? Will we have access to the slide deck? So I think now would be a great point for us to all move back over to chat. George, if people want to know more, if they want to keep learning, do you have some resources, some guidance links you can put in the chat for them?
Yeah, so definitely go to Sidekick Strategies. We got a ton of stuff. Definitely check out the Hub Heroes podcast. Like, all the history. By the way, if anybody on here know who Chad Hahn is, he's in the chat pane. He's on the show. Max Cohen on the show. We've had Kyle on the show. Liz Moorhead on the show. So it's not just me yip yapping. It's like there's a lot of value in the show. But for super admins, if you want to do more training, if you want to get 10 weeks of who's Chad? Nice, Deanna. That's beautiful. If you want to get 10 weeks of this, and when I say 10 weeks, it's 10 weeks, it's 90 minutes each week And we just dive into like 10 different sections of HubSpot and communication. And this, by the way, this was what, 45 minutes of a 90-minute session. So think about what you got out of this and just to extrapolate that. So yeah, Hub Heroes, Sidekick Strategies, my inbox, George B. Thomas. I don't care. Like, again, I'm on the planet to help humans. I'm on the planet to help humans with HubSpot. So just hit me up. We'll do what we can do.
One last thing I'll mention. We are at time, but George is one of the architects and presenters of the HubSpot Academy's Super Admin Bootcamp, which is once again full. But the same George going in even greater depth, perhaps. If you head over to Sidekick Strategies, what was that code you gave them?
Admin, yeah, Admin Hug.
Admin Hug.
25% off anybody that uses that. Oh, Chad throwing it in there. There you go, buddy.
Yeah. So you're tired of wait lists and things and really want to get 2025 underway. I think that's going to be a good way to do it. George, thanks so much for being here, volunteering to start 2025 off on such an energetic, optimistic note. Everybody, thanks so much for being here again. Hope this was valuable, and we will hopefully see you all next week at the Admin Hub.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.